Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udzu billahi minasyaitanir rajim. Man maa ngi tudd Mame Fatou lay Ndoye, doomu Soxna Caba lay Thiaw ak doomu Seydina Majon lay Ndoye. Tey maa leen di I'm doing a presentation on common sense in the pride and the face of God's miracle. Sayyidina Limamullahi al-Mahdi as-Salatu was-Salam is the aim towards which men and jinns must reach. The path that leads to it must be facilitated and diversified. The languages and the dialects through the which different communities express themselves are all paths that can be facilitated the journey towards Him. This is the reason why, after having published my books, Oceans of Light, Sayyidina Limamullahi al-Mahdi, as well as Common Sense and the Pride in the Face of God's Miracle, I made a point of priesthood to have them translated in different languages in order to contribute to the multiplication and the diversification of these pathways. The purpose of these books can be summed up in 4 points. The first is to remember that the prophet always has proof. Indeed, sending a messenger to creatures without giving them the means to recognize it would be an injustice, whereas the Lord is just an equitable master. This first point is far from the trivial, because it points out that every rational individual has the ability to distinguish the true prophet from the false. Indeed, he will recognize the true prophet by his ability to provide proof, and the false one by his inability to do so. When Sayyidina Limamullahi al-Mahdi announced that he was the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who had returned for a second mission, what should have been done was to ask him for proof, nothing else. It was not to tell him that the appearance of a prophet was impossible. It should not be either to surprise to not have been informed by the Quran, the Sunnah, and by the writing of scholars of the occurrence of such events. Quarrel of this kind, issues around his mission, seem to reveal the ignorance of a large part of Muslim of a preprominent place occupied by the proof within the prophetic mission. They could also attempt to deterrence motivated precisely by the desire to divert attention from the importance of the evidence. The best way to verify that an individual has a bachelor's, master, or doctorate is to ask him for proof of it and not ask where he was predicted. In Latin, it is translated that the burden of proof rests with the person who declares the existence of a fact. If we know that a diploma or an attestation is a proof of the one who claims to have license or master degree, we also know that what serves as proof to a prophet is miracle. Once it is attested that the individual who declared himself a prophet present this proof, logically no controversy shall remain. God said, "They did not hear the story of those who precede them, the people of Noah, the Ahad, the Thamud, as well as those who lived after them, and of those who Allah is the only one who knows them. Their messengers brought them the evidence." This verse testifies, on the other hand, that there are prophets who are not mentioned neither in the Quran nor in the Sunnah, even less in the books of scholars. And on the other hand, there are without exceptions proof. The second point is designated the nature of these proofs of God. Indeed, by referring to several passages of the Quran, we have demonstrated that these proofs are miracle. These demonstrations was not difficult because the number of passages which indicate the synonym between the two plethoric. We have chosen among the most obvious those followings. Into Thamud we sent their brother Salih, who said to them, "O my people, worship Allah. You have no other God but Him. Certainly a proof has come to you from your Lord. Here is the camel of Allah, which I present to you as a miracle." We notice below the Prophet Isa insists on the miracle he brought in order to demonstrate his status as an envoy of God. "I bring you a miracle from your Lord. I make you a bird out of clay, then I blow on it and it becomes a real bird by Allah's leaves. And I heal the blind, the leper, and raise the dead by Allah's leaves. And I tell you what you eat and what you keep in your homes. Here indeed is a miracle for you if you are acceptors." In the following verse, it is God Himself who established the synonym between proof and miracle when He says, "Did they not roam the earth to observe what becomes their precedents? They were more powerful than them. They had plowed and peopled the earth much more than they did themselves. Then the messengers came to them, bringing them with proof. It was not for Allah to wrong them. They wronged themselves. Then those who did evil ended up in denying the miracle of Allah and ridiculing them. The third point is to give definition of miracle. All that is real is a miracle of God. Being the origin of all creation, God righteously attributes everything that exists by calling it Ayah Allah. We hear Aryans call themselves the Ayah Allah. In reality, every being within an Ayah Allah, being humans, animals, winds, forests, snows, and much more. We are all beings of God. Among the verses that demonstrate that the real synonyms with miracle, there are the following. Then we sent Haran and Ndoye with a miracle to Pharaoh and his notables. They were puffed up. They were people who committed crimes, and the real came to them from us, they said. Behold, indeed, manifest magic. Moses them replied, do you say of the real when it comes to you that is magic, when you know magicians cannot produce it? Like their predecessors, Musa and Haran went to the Pharaoh to transmit the message of God, bringing them with proof. These had the particularity of being the real phenomena, except by all beings human capacity, except for the Pharaoh and his followers, who out of pride despised them and called them magic tricks. How great was Musa's surprise when he heard this subterfuge. Once the definition of a miracle had been made, we had no difficulty in demonstrating. And the fourth and last point, that is to be monistic, is to admit that the individual who presents himself as God and managed to produce the real and is clear and void of the Lord. Common sense cannot contradict reality. On the other hand, accusing this individual of a liar constitutes associatism. This would be to claim the existence of a creator other than the God. It is nonsense generated by the wound of pride. Indeed, the ego appears as the only reason that can lead to the rejection of this reality, as mentioned in the Quran. I will turn away from my miracle those who wrongfully puff themselves up on earth. If they see all the miracle, they won't accept them. If they see the path of reason, they will not consider it a path. If they see the path of unreason, they will consider a path. The cause of this is that they treat our miracles as lies and are negligent towards them. Attending the crack of the moon without being able to accept that it is the creator of this star who is at the origin of this fact is absurd. It is bad faith that revealed the refusal to admit distributing reality. This is indeed what appears through the surah entitled Al-Qamar. The hour is near. The moon has split. If they see a miracle, they will turn away from it. Here is an enduring magic. The perfect wisdom to take away from the event is that the messengers and miracle are no use of the rejectors. The presentation of this truth can do nothing against the tendencies of those who decide to lock themselves in denial. Witnessing the retreat of the sea, testifying to its non-transgression of a limit said by Sayyidina Limamullahi al-Mahdi as-Salam, and claiming despite everything that the creators of this stress of water are not at the origin of these facts, is an incomprehensible approach. It is to displace one disagreement with the divine will. The refutation of the reality cannot resist the force of the observation and the experience. On the other hand, stubbornness can. Doesn't God say in the Quran, it is not the eyes that are blinded, but in the hearts enclosed in the breasts that are blinded. Everyone has to choose between the following reality or following the opinions and convictions. At the end of our research, we're convinced that until proven otherwise, that paradise is dwelling reserved for those who follow common sense. Hell is reserved for those who, out of pride, remain insensitive to the power of reality. We have destined many jinns and men for hell. They have an intelligence but do not use it to think. They have eyes but do not look. They have ears but do not listen. They are like the cattle. They are even more misguided. They are the careless. The challenge for those who reject the evidence provided by Sayyidina Limamullahi al-Mahdi is to point out that the other actors they believe and are capable to provide it. Any miracle, any real evidence brought by the prophet is a challenge to those who reject this mission. It is said, the real comes from your Lord. Whoever accept it, accept it. Whoever refuse it, refuse it. Ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters, it is a great honor for me to be here today before you in order to make a presentation of a common sense and the pride of the face of God's miracle, as a way to translate it in English, hoping that they make it possible to tell the truth from the false in this mission at the end of times. We give great thanks to the Creator for having guided us towards the acceptance of proof, which attests on one of the hands to his uniqueness, and on the other hand, in this veracity of mission of Sayyidina Limamullahi al-Mahdi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May peace be salvation upon him, his family, his companions, and his entire community. I want to give great thanks to my uncle, Sayyidina Limamullahi, son of Mouhamadou, Lamine. And I give thanks to Sama Ziad. My name is Ziad.